Hey everybody, I'm Colleen Windsor. I'm here with San Diego Fire Rescue Chief Brian Fennessy and San Diego Gas and Electric Vice President Mitch Mitchell. You've probably heard that experts say that this region is facing a very challenging fire season. Fortunately, a great deal of work has been done in the years past to prepare for such a season. And it's because of the collaboration between San Diego Fire Rescue Department, SDG&E, CAL FIRE, the county, and a number of agencies looking at improving the equipment and technology. But we want to show you what has been done. So come with us on Fire Rescue 2 and we'll get started and show you what's going on.
Got 124.35. 24.35.
We're at a point again where we're at the peak of fire season.
And that's something that SDG&E has been addressing with their vegetation management program.
Well, it's true. When you get out here in the backcountry, and the chief knows this, you have a lot of trees, a lot of shrub, some stuff that hasn't burned in 30 years. And so one of the things that we made a priority is vegetation management. You have 400,000 trees out here that you need to catalog, make sure you're trimming, clipping, making sure proper distance away from lines, and that's something we take seriously because, again, with the changing wind conditions, a tree is not a friend on a dry day, high wind scenario.
So you're talking about changing winds, and I think that's something that you all rely on as firefighters is the weather network that was been developed over the last several years. I mean, Mitch, talk about what that is, and then the chief can tell us about what that means to them.
Well, we decided back in 2008,
Shooter 15, runway 24 right, 13007, curve takeoff, change of departure.
That the changing climate conditions were now the biggest red flag and warning. We never anticipated that we'd have winds that exceeded 85, 95, 100 miles an hour. And, a few years ago, we clocked wind speeds at 101 miles an hour at Sill Hill. And so we made a decision to build a weather network with 170 anemometers that are measuring wind speed and conditions 52 weeks a year, 365 days out of the year. And we felt like that was important to help give the fire department, the chiefs, more eyes in the sky, so to speak, so they could see what was happening real time out here and better prepare for what was going on.
And so some of those weather networks, they're on some of the poles out here. So they're in areas that are experiencing that extreme weather.
Exactly. And what we didn't have before 08 was that ability.
Fire Rescue 2, you're outside Miramar Bravo airspace, frequency change approved.
Fire 2, thank you for your help, sir. In this area, well, we expect winds to gust 65, 75 in this area. And we now can give that information to the fire departments and enable them to move crews and better prepare for whatever might happen.
Yeah, and you know what, we can't thank them enough. There's really two big benefits to that. There's certainly when we have a fire, we're in fire conditions, 170 weather stations, that's unprecedented. Probably the most monitored region maybe in the world. So there's a benefit there, but then there's the planning benefit. Every day, every San Diego firefighter gets what we call the Fire Potential Index from SDG&E sent to their smartphones, and we use that as a planning tool. For example, today we're in a Santa Ana wind condition. We are upstaffed. We have additional engines, additional pilots, additional aircraft, a number of enhanced resources to jump on fires quickly, all result of the Fire Potential Index is provided to us by SDG&E every day.
So you make those changes on a daily basis? Do you really follow it that closely?
The beauty of it is their meteorology department tells us what that's going to be 7 days in advance. Before then, we used to go, well, we think it might be, let's upstaff. It was a very unscientific decision-making process. Now, we know 7 days in advance. We can communicate to our firefighters that, hey, be prepared, but we are planning on upstaffing these days ahead. We've never had that ability before.
That's got to help tremendously. So I'm looking out here in the terrain, and there's a lot of valleys and a lot of canyons, and when a fire starts, I'm sure that you're asked all the time, where's the fire coming, Chief? Who do we need to evacuate? And I understand there's new technology that even helps you predict where the fire is going to go.
Well, we've got a unique program we're working right now with General Atomics. It's a San Diego company. They provide a lot of unmanned aircraft and manned aircraft in wartime theater, and they are great community partners, and they are working with us to apply that same technology here in San Diego, along with the UCSD Y-Fire supercomputer staff, so that we can start to predict and model where fire is going to head, so we can really target our evacuations and only evacuate those that truly need to be evacuated.
I'm sure that people who live around those fire-prone areas appreciate that, because there's nothing like being evacuated when you maybe don't need to be.
Yeah, you know, it's a difficult thing. We want to make sure we get everybody out of harm's way, but once you do move them out and the barricades go up, you pretty much own them. You got to feed them, you got to house them, and if they don't really need to be evacuated, that's a huge impact on, you know, everybody.
So, you know, I should have started with what we're flying in right now, because, you know, several years ago, you only had one helicopter, and it was the only helicopter in the region. Talk about the air support that we have now.
Oh, greatly enhanced. I mean, we're sitting in Copter 2. It was in the process of being purchased during the 2007 fires. It was delivered in 2008. The sheriff owns 3 water dropping helicopters. We own 2. CAL FIRE, the Forest Service, have agreements with the military now. In 2014, they were able to activate 30 military helicopters for the fire siege. So we are far better off than we've ever been in terms of aircraft, firefighting aircraft in this region.
And I know SDG&E brought in the air crane, and I want you to talk about it for a minute, but I want Chief to kind of look out, because what I see is some houses that have defensible space and some houses that don't. And I mean, as a firefighter for a lot of years, I mean, just talk about the reality of that.
Well, and you're right, absolutely. A lot of people have really heeded what we've been saying for many years about defensible space. Many have not. We happen to be flying over an area that suffered greatly during the fires. There are many new homes down there because the ones prior to them were destroyed. If we got real close, you would see areas that nobody, you know, that people did not rebuild. But we have to keep that message out. We have to let people know that the best way to take care of their property is to give us the best chance to protect it and provide us that defensible space. We cannot have a fire engine in every driveway. The best way to protect your property is to take care of it yourself. Give us a fighting chance to protect it if we're in your neighborhood.
So going back on that air support, we have a monster of a helicopter that SDG&E's been bringing in. Tell us about it.
You know, we made a decision after we finished building Sunrise. We had a helicopter specifically purchased for that project, and we made the decision to have it retrofitted for water drops. And that was solely for one reason. We knew that out here in the East County areas, in the hotter portions of the year, that getting water drops quickly, large drops, was essential. And we made a decision when the project was done to contract with that helicopter to make sure it was always back here in our region every year before September 1. And we think that was essential. We wanted the chief and the county and everyone to realize we have a resource that's not going to be pulled somewhere else in the state. And that, Chief, I think that's the big thing we realized is we have to plan for ourselves. The wildfires in the western region are becoming fiercer. They're in Colorado. They're in the Northern California area. We wanted to make sure we had the resources here, so when the chief or any of the chiefs in the county need it, they can call upon it. We're really proud that that has continued to happen.
Yeah, that helitanker is a big deal. I mean, we drop with this helicopter 375 gallons. That helitanker drops 2,600 gallons. But it is a significant deal. Mitch is right. We're in what we call the cul-de-sac of the state. We're not getting any help from the Pacific. They're not coming west. We're not getting any help from the south, nor do we get anything from east. When the winds surface, we get big fires in Southern California. They generally start north of us. The resources respond to those fires. When we have ours, we're very limited in what help we get. So we've learned over time that we've got to really take care of ourselves.
San Diego's known as like a technology hub, and I think that we've been able to take advantage of that with a modeling that talks about where those fires might creep into, the worm. You know, SDG&E has been working with UCSD to develop it. Talk about, you know, what is that? What is the worm, and what are the advantages of that?
Well, that's the holy grail. That's stuff we talked about 20 years ago. That was, you know,
just a dream?
Fantasy stuff. I mean, so there are amazing things taking place here in San Diego, both through academia and, of course, through SDG&E, and we've learned that the only way we're going to be successful, you know, with living with wildland fire, because we're never going to stop it. We're going to have to learn to live with it, is through these partnerships.
I agree. One of the things that we had to acknowledge is that it wasn't a matter of if another wildland fire will happen. It's when will it happen. And so the partnership was essential. This wasn't a, well, that's the fire department's job. This was a, hey, we need to all come together. The academics, you know, big companies like SDG&E and the fire service, and figure out what's the best way to protect our region. Again, both having the resources here, but having the new information. And Chief, I remember back in my days in the fire union, this was all stuff that was all fantasy. We always knew what we wanted, we just didn't have it. Today, we're adding it, and we're continuing to look for ways to enhance it, and that's what's great for this region, is that partnership.
I'm glad Mitch talked about that. You know, the partnership among the fire agencies as well. There's over 50 fire departments in this county, and we respond like one. There are 5 major dispatch centers in this community, in this county, and they're all connected via computer. So now when there is a fire on the edge of a jurisdiction, the closest response units will be dispatched to those fires. It doesn't matter what sticker's on the side of that door, the community's going to get the closest engines, the closest helicopters. We treat fires like one department countywide.
So I think people would be surprised to know that, because I think that, you know, we were just passing Escondido up there, that if I live in Escondido, I'm going to see an Escondido fire truck at my house, but that may not be true.
No, you may or may not. There's areas on the edge, on the east edge of the city of San Diego. If we have a structure fire, we might have one engine there. We might have La Mesa engines there. We may have CAL FIRE trucks. What's most important to the community is that the firefighters get there quickly. The closest firefighters get there quickly. So it shouldn't matter what logo is on the side of that door.
That really could mean the difference between saving a life and not.
Oh, it does. I mean, really the key to keeping these fires small is rapid and aggressive fire attack, and that's the only way to do it, is to send the closest resource.
Well, it's a great message for everybody in this region. You don't have this jurisdiction that says, look, we can't go any further than the city line. We are all in this together, so if something breaks out in East County, the urban fire departments are all in this together, and it's the enhanced mutual aid. We're all going to attack, and again, that's where the partnership is so important. You mentioned it, Chief. The helitanker is the region's helitanker. Doesn't matter where you are, it is available to drop 2,000 plus pounds of water on anything that is going to protect lives and property.
Well, and when you're looking out there and you see these, you know, the urban interface where there you got canyons and then houses and canyons and houses and dry brush, that's important.
Oh, it is. You know, I mean, we're flying over an area that burned in 2014. I bet you can't tell.
No.
All of the rain we got this last winter, you know, grew a lot of new vegetation that is now mixed in with dead, decadent brush that is not coming back. That vegetation, after 5 years of drought, died. It's not coming back. It will be in the fuel beds until it burns. You start bringing that new vegetation in and around it. When it dries out and it spreads, the potential for catastrophic wildfires continues to exist in this county.
Well, Chief, you know, it's counterintuitive. Most people think that we had so much rain in the first part of the year that we must be okay. Right. That's not how you look at it every day now.
No, you know, in the spring when it's nice and green, clearly, you know, fires are not going to spread rapidly. But it doesn't take but a couple weeks for that to dry out. And after now, you know, 4 months of fire season, what you see out here, and you can see, you know, a lot of the vegetation looks grayish in there. That's the dead, decadent brush that's not coming back. That looks like 3 to 5 foot tall brush. That's 15 foot tall vegetation out there. This is not burned here in Black Mountain or near Black Mountain in nearly 30 years, since the 1970 Laguna fire.
So defensible space, critical.
Critical. Give us the best chance we can to protect your property. And if resources are at a point where we can't put a fire engine in your yard, you want to evacuate knowing that you've done all you could, that your home will stand the best chance of surviving that firestorm.
So, Mitch, some people might wonder, why the heck does SDG&E care about fire and fire suppression and helping firefighters?
You know, it's simple. We operate in this region just like the fire service, 52 weeks a year, 365 days, and we felt like we had a responsibility to make sure that people understand that the dangers associated with wildland fires impact all of us. And so, for us, putting the money and the effort into a partnership and the resources and to expanding our ability to protect the region, protect people and property, it was a no-brainer. And again, we have things that we do on our side, like the pole transition, undergrounding 10,000 miles of lines, and we have other things like the Weather Center, which is providing a service not just to our fire departments here, but we've actually provided this information up as far as Santa Barbara, and it is about the intelligence and the information that allows us to operate better and that's our commitment, and it's been great being a partner with the fire department.
So my final question, are we more prepared today than we were a couple years ago?
Oh, we're absolutely more prepared. I think we're well situated to combat the next large or several large fires.